first down. They hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, INDY. And again, it's picked up. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with his second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What is going on, Colts fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice podcast. I am your host, Cody Felger, alongside your other host, Derek Larger, and we are continuing our look into the Colts position groups. We've been doing our kind of look in kind of stacking up each Colts position group compared to the rest of the league. We've already looked at the quarterback group, so if you haven't checked that episode out, be sure to do that. But today we're looking at a group that I think out of any of these groups on offense, we could argue is one of the top units in the league. The Colts obviously added a player in Jonathan Taylor this year that we feel like is going to help propel this group even further to where they were last year, and that's the running back group. So, Derek, we can start here first with the guy who has been the starting Colts running back the last 2 years, Marlon Mack. Last year, he ran for over 1,000 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns. He's pretty good, but, I think the question mark for Marlon Mack has always been his durability concerns. He's never played in a full 16-game season, and that's no knock on Marlon Mack. I think that's just kind of, the nature of the game, especially at the running back position. A lot of times running backs are pretty expendable a lot of times. Thus, the Colts drafted another running back, despite the fact that Marlon Mack had over 1,000 yards, has been a very effective back when given the opportunity and when he's been on the field. So, Derek, talk to me first about Marlon Mack and what he's done, even how he's improved his game since coming in 2017, drafted in the 4th round that year.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. The durability of Marlon Mack's always been the biggest question, even though he's never really had a lot of injury concerns. I mean, he's missed some games every season. It's kind of his thing. He'll miss 5 to 6 games a season sometimes, but, he'll play the majority of the season. And, that's kind of what has hindered his production a lot of times. I mean, he had 1,000 yards. What was it last year? And he still missed like 3 games or so. So, I mean, he could have went even higher in his numbers. I mean, this is a guy that has really grown his patience behind that offensive line. He's done so much better at seeing holes where they show up and being able to move in and out. I mean, you can just look at the 2019 game film and see, this is just not the Marlon Mack that Colts fans were used to when he first came in here. I mean, we knew he could run. We knew he could hit the hole and do all this. I mean, his college tape shows that. But we've never really seen him move in and out of, I mean, we saw the Kansas City run, right? Where he basically jump cutted about 4 different times through a small hole and was able to break a 1 tackle to be able to make a play that he should have gotten maybe 1 or 2 yards, but instead ended up getting a 25-yard run out of it. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that Marlon Mack has really improved on. He has improved on his ability to make plays when none were there to begin with. I mean, not to mention his being able to break off tackles. He's improved in that category a lot. I mean, his spin moves have gotten really good. He's developed a really nice stiff arm that has worked a lot of times. Okay. He has been a very efficient runner in the red zone, making plays when it seemed like it was over. And that's just what I like about Marlon Mack. He has just been able to extend plays, basically is what I'm trying to say. Extend plays when before those plays didn't exist with Marlon Mack, but now he's doing that. And that adds another level of what he's able to do. I think you can put him right now as a top 10 running back in this league when you just look at the pure ability that this guy is able to do. Yeah, the Colts are wanting to increase the rushing attack, but I think top 10 running back is not out of reach when it comes to Marlon Mack. I think his last year's tape showed that.
And talking about Marlon Mack's patience, I mean, you got to even go back to that same game, the Kansas City game, on that 4th down run. Marlon Mack, normally I feel like in 2017 he would have tried to make that play right away and cut back in and try to get that first down. But what does Marlon Mack do? He stays patient. He basically pushes his tackle, Braden Smith, forward and propels him. It's 2 guys against 1, and he gets that first down. I mean, that's just speaks volumes to what Marlon Mack is able to do. Really, what he's able to grow in, what he's been able to grow in ever since he was drafted in 2017. I've heard people basically say that when Marlon Mack came out of South Florida, a lot of people just said he was an athlete with fantastic, physical abilities. But that's all he was an athlete. He wasn't a running back. And he's really developed his game, developed his patience, developed his, running through the tackles, all those things. Marlon Mack has really continued to grow on. He averaged 4.4 yards per carry last year, just around 78 yards per game. He's never really gotten super involved with the passing, pass catching department. But he's still offered that when he's been able to. Didn't fumble the ball at all last year, which I think is significant. He's only fumbled the ball 3 times in his 3 years he's been with the Colts, and that's over 587 touches. He's only fumbled the ball 3 times. That's pretty darn good. So Marlon Mack, very good running back, but the Colts felt like they could do a little bit better with their running back group, and obviously they decided to do that and get running back in the 2nd round, Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. Now, you talk about physical freak. Jonathan Taylor, he's ginormous. He's built like huge, but he also can run the football. I mean, he can run fast. He's a fast running back. He offers a lot everywhere. He's similar to Marlon Mack in the fact that he doesn't give you a lot, at least statistically, in the pass catching department. But Jonathan Taylor, you just look at his tape and look at his stats the last couple of years. I mean, he was less than 30 yards in his first year, his freshman year, less than 30 yards away from 2,000 rushing yards. Next 2 years, he runs for over 2,000 rushing yards. Last year, he ran for 21 rushing touchdowns. We said Marlon Mack had a pretty good, rush per average. Jonathan Taylor's, through his career, it's incredible. Through his 926 attempts, he averages about 10 yards per carry, which is absolutely insane. That guy is a freak when it comes to running the football. He just adds a whole new element, Derek. And you know very well, being a fan of Ohio State, in the Big Ten, Jonathan Taylor is a beast. And, if there's any concern with Marlon Mack's durability issues, there's really been no concern with Jonathan Taylor's issues. I mean, he's really missed 1 game his entire career with Wisconsin. He is just a phenomenal player. We think he's going to just add a completely new element to this Colts running attack. Derek, give me your thoughts on Jonathan Taylor and what he adds to this already pretty good Colts running attack.
Yeah, what you mentioned mostly was his ability to stay healthy, right? Well, a lot of people don't quite understand why that is. I mean, people always say, he ran for 250 times in a college football season. I mean, how does he stay healthy? How can we expect him to stay durable? Well, you have to look at the reasons why. The reason he's able to is because of the fact he takes very good care of his body off the field. He does yoga. He does other calisthenics, other things that a lot of people don't necessarily do. He does those things to be able to keep his body healthy. It keeps him more relaxed. It's allowing him to keep his body stretched so he's able to take more of this punishment and be able to still dish it out. And not to mention, he's a little bigger, right? I mean, when you're 230 pounds, when you're about 230 pounds as a running back and you're as big as he is, I mean, you can definitely take some hits. I mean, that's the great thing about Jonathan Taylor is you can't arm tackle this guy. You really can't unless you're a defensive lineman that is 300 pounds. You're not arm tackling this guy. There's just no way. And another great thing about him is, again, his patience. He has patience. I know a lot of people want to say he's the guy that just breaks through. He reminds me a lot of AP, which is kind of in the sense that, when he sees something, when he sees a clump of guys that are in the gap that he wants to run into, he will be patient. He will figure out where the pressure's coming from and be able to take a quick step and hit another gap. I've seen him do it several times. AP's done it throughout his career. And then when he hits that hole and you try to tackle him, you better be in front of him, because if you're not and you're on the side of him, that stiff arm's coming and then you're not catching him afterwards. I mean, he does remind me a lot of AP in the way that he runs. It's just that simple. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor's ever going to become AP, but I'm just saying the similarity is there in the way that they run, just the way they're able to make things work. And not to mention, Jonathan Taylor can catch. He has made a couple good catches in his career. There's a touchdown that he made last season where he did a quick spin on a corner that was guarding him, and he made the catch for the touchdown. It was not super coordinated, but he did make the catch nonetheless, and he did end up getting the touchdown. So, I mean, he does have that option. And Jonathan Taylor's, again, very big. He provides that kind of that big running back style kind of guy where he's just somebody that you don't want to have to try to tackle. You just don't want to. Like Marlon Mack, of all things, is a lot smaller than Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's faster. He's stronger. He's got just as good of awareness. I mean, I wouldn't want to try to tackle him. I'd feel bad for any secondary guy that wants to try and tackle him. This guy is, if he were a starter for any team, I mean, some people have him as the best running back coming out of college football. Him between J.K. Dobbins, obviously. Jonathan Taylor's got, again, great speed. He's got great awareness, great strength, takes care of his body. I don't think durability is going to be an issue. How does his fumbles get better? I think he will improve on that. That might still be an issue for him in year one, maybe. But it is something that I think will continue to improve. And I think behind this offensive line, Jonathan Taylor is going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. And 5'10", 226 pounds, and runs that type of 40. I mean, that's like Madden type of stuff. Like that when you go to create a player in Madden, Jonathan Taylor would fit that prototype. I think I would probably create a player very similar to Jonathan Taylor, a physical freak that's fast and also not a small running back. He's very big as well. So that's going to serve Jonathan Taylor well. You already mentioned the fumbles, so I was going to go into that, but I don't really think we need to, because we've seen Tom Rathman, the running backs coach, who was a former fullback himself in the NFL. He's really taught his running backs to not put the ball on the ground. And we've seen it. I mean, the Colts put the ball on the ground, I think, once or twice last year, the entire year, which is very significant. And I think he's going to be totally fine with Tom Rathman as his running backs coach. He's going to teach him some more fundamentals. I think there was a question that we had about if we feel like Jonathan Taylor, I think it was on our last live stream, and we feel like Jonathan Taylor, his fumbling issue was more of a physical or a mental thing. I kind of said I don't feel like it's either. I feel like it's just kind of a technique issue. And I feel like that's something Tom Rathman can really easily coach out of him. You thought, Derek, maybe it's a little bit of mental as well after all those fumbles potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I said it was mental just with the sense that when you're thinking about trying to make the big play, right? Every big running back has this where you're trying to make the big play and you forget to basically secure the football. That's kind of an issue. I mean, that goes into what you said too about technique and things of that nature, but I think it's mental just in the sense that you're not thinking about that sometimes when you're running through big defenses. And he's playing in the conference that is best known for defenses, right? The whole conference plays really good defense for the majority of them. They do a better job of playing defense overall than the SEC and other conferences. So, you're going to have a few of those. And, you play that kind of style and you play that way. Sometimes you're going to have those. But I think that you just have to work on that, remind him of what's going to happen there. And then I think things will be better for him in the long run.
Absolutely. We'll move to the next guy. So if you talk about these other two guys not really offering a ton, at least at this point in their careers in the pass catching department, throw in the guy that's his specialty, Nyheim Hines. Last year had a little bit of a down year in terms of he didn't see as many targets, didn't have as many receptions or yards or touchdowns. But Nyheim Hines, through his first 2 years, has had over 100 catches, 107 catches, 745 yards. The year before, he had 63 catches for 425 yards. He had 81 targets. We feel like Nyheim Hines has just not been utilized enough, especially with the major drop-off from Andrew Luck to Jacoby Brissett / Brian Hoyer last year. But we feel like Phillip Rivers can offer Nyheim Hines and give him more of an opportunity to get the ball into his hands. Talk to me, Derek, about Nyheim Hines and what he offers, yes, in the pass catching department, but also even on special teams and just all the different ways the Colts can use him in their offense.
Yeah, talk about the ultimate specialty running back, right? A guy that can run behind that offensive line, a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield and make people miss with his feet because of his agility and his quickness. And then a guy that can go out on special teams and still make plays for you. I mean, this is the ultimate multifaceted tool guy. I mean, I think he could still be used in the run game too. And I think they will try to utilize him in that aspect at times, catch some people off guard. I think that, I mean, he even mentioned when Quentin Nelson was getting talked about in the top 30 players in the NFL, he was talking about how, you know, half the time when I run the ball, I'm supposed to go into a certain gap, but sometimes I don't. I just follow Quentin Nelson, and 90% of the time he's right. You just got to follow him, and then it's just gone from there. Yeah, I mean, he is a guy that's got tremendous speed. I mean, it is quite crazy to think that Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines have almost the same 40 time. That's incredible. Nyheim beats him by a fraction of a second, and I mean a fraction. It's quite crazy to think that Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines have relatively the same speed. But again, what Nyheim Hines has different than what Marlon Mack and what Jonathan Taylor bring is his agility and his quickness. It's the ability to just make people miss out in the open field. That is his specialty. Just so quick and so agile. It just makes you go, wow. So I expect Nyheim Hines to be more active in this system. I hope that Frank Reich continues to put more of Nyheim Hines in this system. I really want to see Nyheim Hines keep doing more. You can use him on first downs to set up screens or set up underneath routes, things of that nature that will catch defenses off guard and use that to open up the passing game and the run game more. So it's all about how does the system work when Nyheim Hines, because the talent is there. He has the ability to do it all. And that is what's great about him. You're talking about an Austin Eckler type player, a guy that, you know, can do it all, is a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, run the football, be able to do special teams, which Eckler doesn't. I mean, this is a great multi-tool guy. I really want to see more from Nyheim Hines. I know his talent's there. I just want to see Frank Reich and Nick Sirianni put him more into the system. If they can do that, this Colts team has the best trio of running backs in the NFL, and there's no question about it.
Absolutely. And we'll move on to even the last guy, presumably number 4 running back, if the Colts decide to keep 4. Jordan Wilkins isn't a bad option, especially at number 4. I mean, he hasn't got a lot of carries in his career. He's got 111 carries total in the, I think it's about 30 games he's played. He missed 2 games last year. But Jordan Wilkins, when given the opportunity, he has some pretty good runs. I mean, he averages throughout his 2 years 5.8 yards per carry. So when he given the opportunity, a guy like Jordan Wilkins, say something happens to Marlon Mack, as he's done the last couple of years, he gets banged up, misses a game or two. Jordan Wilkins can come in and can help and contribute not only on special teams but also in the running department. So yeah, I think that's totally a great problem to have. Too many good running backs. And I guess that leads me to the question, Derek. You kind of mentioned it already. In terms of the NFL, from Marlon Mack / Jonathan Taylor all the way down to Jordan Wilkins, where would you rank this Colts running back group amongst the best in the NFL?
As a group in the NFL, I will say the Colts have the best running back group in the entire NFL, all of them. Now, we don't have the best guy in Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley or Zeke or other guys, but what I'm talking about is group. No one in the NFL has their fourth string running back being good enough to potentially be a starter for about half the teams in the NFL. I'm just saying. Jordan Wilkins is good enough to start for 10 teams right now. Right now he is, because of his ability to make plays by breaking tackles. He's just that good. He follows gaps really well. He averages over 6 yards a carry. In the carries that he gets, he averages 6 yards a carry. We were even saying over the last 2 seasons, Jordan Wilkins has actually been a bigger play, the guy that makes more plays, more big runs than Marlon Mack does. I mean, Marlon Mack will get you the yardage, but Jordan Wilkins is the guy that'll give you the big play, the 25, 30, 40-yard run that you want, that opens everything up. That's Jordan Wilkins. This guy is just phenomenal, and the fact that he's our fourth string guy, that is just more incredible. 6.5 yards, I think, leads the league, if I'm not mistaken, of guys from last season. So Jordan Wilkins is another great option. He's our fourth option. So I'm going to go out right now and say it. Colts have the best running back group in all of the NFL. They do. And I mean, I know they don't have the best one, but the group overall, from first all the way down to fourth, they have the best.
And that's how Frank Reich likes to run it, right? He likes to do that running back by committee type approach. We saw how it worked in Philadelphia, and now the Colts have literally 3 guys, maybe even if you throw in Nyheim Hines, 4 guys that can run the football and do it effectively. They got all different skill sets, which I think is important as well. I mean, you got Marlon Mack, who's more of I would say he's more of an all-around back, if that makes sense. Like he's fast, but he's not Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor fast. He's just a consistent back that'll get you the yardage you need, make a big play. Marlon Mack I like quite a bit, but then Jonathan Taylor, he's a little bit bigger back, but he's also fast. He's just that physical freak type of back. Nyheim Hines catches the ball to the backfield. Jordan Wilkins is a really good third down. If you need a certain amount of yardage, Jordan Wilkins can get that for you. They got all different kinds of variations in their running back group, and I think that is so important for what you need in your running back group, a diverse group of people that can offer you different options if you need them. So I definitely think top 3 is not a question. I'm curious who would be some other running back groups that would really, challenge the Colts running back groups, I guess, because, you mentioned it, you have all these good running backs, but like you look at their second and third stringers and they don't come close to what the Colts have this year. And I think that's the way the Colts want to do it. So I definitely agree in terms of all the running backs the Colts have, the 4 stable of guys they have right now that we think may have a chance to make this roster. I think it's no question the Colts have the best in the league. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you got all the way down the list from our first string all the way to our fourth string. I don't really know a lot of other teams that have that collection of guys that they can just use for every situation. Now, granted, you don't really need those if you got a guy like a Christian McCaffrey or Saquon or Zeke or Dalvin Cook or something like that. But I mean, that's only 4 of the 32 teams. That's only 1/8 of the NFL. Where's the rest of them? Who has that collection of running backs that you could put in any situation and know we're almost not going to lose that production? That's the big question there, right? We lose Marlon Mack. Who's our next option? You got Jonathan Taylor. You won't lose production. We lose Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack. You have Jordan Wilkins to take that spot, and you still have Nyheim Hines to provide you an option outside of the backfield and to run. So how many guys can say they can do that? How many teams say they lose their first or second string guy and still will get nearly the same production out of their fourth and third string guys?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. When injuries come, because we know they probably will. Are you ready, and do you have the depth that you feel like you won't really miss a beat? I feel like the Colts do, and a lot of these teams, say Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, one of these guys gets injured, the production's going to be, now granted these guys are top running backs in the league, but production's not even going to be anywhere close. Whereas I feel like the Colts could manufacture that based off of the talent they have at that running back position. So I agree with you. I really think the Colts have a top unit here. And they maybe don't have a top 5 running back per se, at least not right now at this current moment. But overall, as a unit, they are definitely one of the best in the league. I'd like to hear our listeners' comments on where you guys think the Colts running back group stacks up against the rest of the league. We think it's very high. We think it's the best. Maybe you think there's another team that you think has a little bit better stable of running backs. We'd like to hear your opinion. But for Derek and myself, thank you guys so much. And as always, go Colts.